Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. I'm Crispy Kareem. I make videos for myself to get things off my chest, to say my opinions, to make commentary and rant about things. And you've come here to listen for some reason. So thank you for coming. If you like this video, please like, share and subscribe. And links to my social media are in the link below. And if you don't like this video, tell other people to go on my video and call me all kinds of expletives because I'm probably not going to read it. And in this video, I want to talk about something that trended on Twitter yesterday. Well, I say yesterday, I'm probably not going to upload this the same day as I make it, but I mean Friday the 12th of November 2021, and it's when Diane Abbot tweeted something in disapproval of Durham University offering classes to its students about how to stay safe when doing sex work and things of that sort. And it was controversial because she's considered one of the more left-wing Labour members. She was at the forefront of the opposition during Jeremy Corbyn's leadership. She is still in the Labour Party. She's still a very vocal person. She's well known. She's one of the most prominent black MPs and longest serving ones as well. I'm not great with my British history in terms of politics stuff, that specific stuff, but I know she's been around for a while and she's quite high profile because of how much of an impact she's had on the UK and especially the Black and Afro-Caribbean community there. So I would like for those who disagreed with her to take into account that she has her experiences as a woman and a black woman in public, and that I think formulates a lot of her opinions in regards to gender and sex and why she has anti-sex work views, which did not sit well with a lot of her very left-wing followers, which is unfortunate, but it's the fault of the followers because I'm with Diane on this. I'm not happy about this thing. I'm not happy about it being promoted to non-universities. I think it's very wrong. And I will explain why by starting with, my own opinions and ideals on sex. Personally, I believe that, sex is what means of expressing feelings, intimacy between ideally just two people, and for Islamic purposes I would like to specify that those two people would be a woman and man who are married together, because that's what we recognize in Islam as a halal relationship. But obviously, because I'm not just aiming this video towards Muslims, that definition in its literal sense can also extend to non-married long-term couples, gay and lesbian couples, polyamorous things going on, friends with benefits stuff. I mean, it's not the kind of things I or anyone I know are into, but if the point is, I would prefer to know the person I'm having sex with. I prefer to be comfortable with them. I don't want it to be with a complete stranger. That's my opposition to commodified sex and also hookup culture. I'm gonna explain what I mean by commodified sex and why I use that term instead of sex work if I get to the end, at some time at the end of the video. This is probably going to be a very long video. So a lot of people have said that students use sex work as a way of covering up for the shortfalls of the maintenance loans. So I went to the University of Sussex, where student living costs are relatively high. When I was in my first year of university 4 years ago, I read that the nominal living costs of Brighton are exactly about the same as London, but because of it doesn't have the same labour or wage laws as London, the real living costs in Brighton and possibly other parts of southeast England are higher than in London. And to add on to that, even though I tried to get part-time work for about a year and a half when I was in university. I just looked and looked and looked. There were vacancies, but I couldn't get anything in Brighton because they wanted me all year round, and I usually spent the holidays with my parents. And my only option was to get work in Gatwick, which also didn't work out. So my dad just ended up making up for the shortfall, which I'm not trying to brag, but yeah, lucky me, I guess. So when you come at it from that angle with the, how difficult it is to get jobs and the increasing costs of going to university, especially at Sussex, because they're getting rid of all the affordable on-campus housing, even though students keep saying no, 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 but the administration is a for-profit monster. It is understandable why people feel the need to enter the commodified sex industry in order to be able to survive financially when they're at university. And with the other option of not moving out, I guess, but that depends on if you're culturally allowed to stay living with your parents after 18, and most of the people at my university, especially the ones that move out, are, and generally the ones that move out tend to be white, and you kind of have to move out after you turn 18. So um I don't know if that's just an America thing or if that's like that here, but I just want to add on to that, but it's understandable, but I don't think it necessarily means that it's liberating for these people to be picking between reduced social mobility or like pretty much poverty and doing sex work. I think if those are the choices, it's still exploitation. It's not a choice. I can't see anything liberating about it. And yeah, guess that, well, we're not looking for a man's opinion, but I'm going to say it anyway. But nevertheless, the Daily Mail article I read on it, which is not the one that Diane Abbot shared, but I needed something that wasn't behind a paywall, says that an estimated 95,000 students in the UK are in the sex work profession, and 500,000 students, I'm not sure if that's just the UK or also elsewhere, are on a seeking arrangements website. So that's the name of the website, Seeking Arrangements, where you can become sugar babies to older, richer people who exchange intimacy for gifts and money and stuff. So my other issues with this is that a lot of 18-year-olds and sometimes 17-year-olds, because some international students finish school at 17 and then turn 18 during their first year, they're very impressionable, they're very different. I am a very different person now from who I was 4 years ago when I started university. They're also entering a very critical life stage that affects their personal and intellectual and epistemological development. Those last two may have pretty much been the same thing. I just wanted to use some long words. But as someone who bore the brunt of some institutional neglect and abuse, it really left a bad taste in my mouth. And I'm glad I have like more positive experiences from university from before lockdown on Corona and all that, with society stuff and just meeting people from so many different backgrounds and ways of thinking. And I think having your entire university life being defined as sex work and that sort of stuff, when it generally doesn't work out, is going to leave a very bad taste in your mouth. It will follow you for years, and it's going to really mess with you. I mean, I think there's stuff I spoke about with my university was not even like anything direct, but it was just feeling like I've been taken advantage of, and that really messed with me. And I think that going into prostitution for 3 or 4 years or any other kind of sex work, when probably won't work out financially or may put you in danger is not a good idea, in my opinion. I think it shouldn't be, I think should be actively discouraged by universities and student unions, and there needs to be more of a realistic outlook on it, and in terms of the statements they make about it, rather than sugarcoating it and saying, oh, this is how you can do it safely, this is how you can make money off of it, and it's a viable career option for everyone, because I don't think it should be normalized. Some things need to be stigmatized. I also think this whole training thing like plays into rape culture. Having to speak quietly because people are sleeping, but it plays into rape culture, this whole training thing, because what it is it's putting the entire responsibility of staying safe on these people who want to go into sex work, and they're saying this is what you can do to stay safe, this is what kind of, you know, art is legal, these are the legal protections you have, and obviously they need to know that kind of stuff, but then where is the responsibility of making sure that the people who consume commodified sex are being ethical? Where is the responsibility to make sure that these are good people who don't want to do harm to the women? And I think a lot of conversation about commodified sex really misses out the side of the consumer and focuses disproportionately on sex workers and those who have commodified themselves and their sexual genitals for money. And I think one article I read or interviewed 8 men in Berlin and asked why they visited brothels, why they hired prostitutes, and it kind of gives you an insight into what they think when they're doing it and why they're doing it. And that's not to say that they're disgusting people. Their opinions of sex definitely differ from my opinions and ideals of sex, but there is definitely some questionable stuff within the answers, and I think it kind of highlights why it's important to focus on the people who consume sex just as much as those who provide commodified sex. So not only do we have to focus on those two people, but we also have to focus on the people who advocate for the commodified sex industry and those who provide and consume it. A lot of, based on if the first time you'd heard of sex work or commodified sex was my video, or from other people who align with my thoughts, you'd think on the matter, then you'd think that the people promoting this are all far-right people who think that women are second-class citizens. But in reality, a lot of their advocates are very left-wing, they're self-proclaimed communists and anti-capitalists, and they have the hammer and sickle symbol in their bio to represent their hatred of capitalism and how free markets have ravaged our environment, our people. It's destructive and exploitative. I very much hate capitalism and the way its effects on society and the environment as well. But I've noticed with these hammer and sickle people that they seem to go back on these anti-capitalist ideals when you bring up sex work, and I've noticed it in 3 specific ways. So the first thing is that they oppose capitalism because it commodifies everything and it turns every single part of your life into a private commodity for sale and trade, which is bad and I think it's bad, but apparently these people don't think it's bad once that thing is sex. And that is worrying. This is why I use the term commodified sex, because it is taken something that could be personal and a form of intimacy for many people in many traditions where ideas of sex are different. A lot of it is seen as intimacy and love, which is what it should be, but it has been turned into a soulless, commodified object for sale and for demand, possibly for those who should not be having it or should not be have such access to it, especially in a world where sex addictions and porn addictions are skyrocketing. I also have noticed these people use the term sex workers work a lot, which, yeah, it is work, but that's not a good thing, is it? I mean, don't you believe that all work under capitalist systems is unethical? It's exploitation? If you do, then why don't you continue to express those sentiments when the work that is being discussed is sexual? It's exploitation. It's turning something that, again, would normally be an act of love, intimacy, something personal, into a form of labor, something that tires you out. I mean, any job, even if you love it, will do that. And the third thing I want to talk about is the fact that being a trader of commodified sex has become an identity. This sex worker advocacy thing is just gotten out of hand. When you criticize the sex trade, sex industry, any kind of commodified sex, any criticism of it is they take it as a personal attack. And it's because they've made their job their identity, and if anyone in any other industry, like a consultant or a fast food worker, had done so, they would be called a slave of capitalism. But sex workers, no, sex work is your identity, and it's something apparently to be proud of. And I agree, you shouldn't be discriminated against for being a current or former sex worker, and you should be treated as a human being regardless of what you do. But if you're going to defend an industry like that, knowing what kind of impacts it has on people, and knowing that you're from the minority that have enjoyed it, you're going to be held accountable for it, and that will come with negative repercussions. So those are my opinions on commodified sex. That is my open letter to traders of commodified sex, aka sex workers. Any relevant links will be in the description box below, as well as access to my social media. And if you like this video, please give it a like, thumbs up, and subscribe and share. This is Crispy Kareem.